It is time. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to stand up. It's time for Christians to come together, to share their testimony, to inspire hope, and to join their brothers and sisters as we answer the call. It is time to wake up the lions. And I have an absolute lion with me here today. I have the great pleasure of bringing this gentleman back from one of my other podcasts onto this one today. We had a great time talking last time, and I know he has a lot to share with you folks in this audience right now. So please welcome to the show, husband, father of three, Army veteran, ministry leader, certified Christian life coach, and men's life coach, Nick Furloni. Nick, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing excellent. It's always great to chat with you in the morning. So
Thank you,
let's
man.
let's go. I'm excited to be here.
Right on. This is like two guys and our cups of coffee, all ready to
Hmm.
go right now. So here we are. Listen, I really appreciate you coming on this podcast as well. I know I had you on Power Man and we had a great conversation. So I'm looking forward to another one. And on this one, we get to dive even more into our faith, which is just, I think really cool. And Nick, before we get rolling with everything, tell everybody a little bit about, who is Nick Ferloni? What's your story? And, how's God impacted your life, brother?
Every time somebody asks like, "Who are you?" and that's always like, "Oh, I don't know. Who am I?" It's always that identity question, right? And as men, we always go to like our job first because what we do is who we are, but that's not necessarily true. No, but I'm a guy that God is blessed to be in an army family, and so I was a kid that grew up with a dad that moved us around all over the place. I was born in Germany, so I can't even read my birth certificate other than my name and date, kind of thing. So, um, but I, getting to move around in so many different places, really kind of, I believe, has well-rounded me to a point as far as loving and being able to see the beauty in humanity, getting to see all of not only our differences, but learning how to celebrate our differences as people. Um, I think one of the byproducts of that, maybe fortunately and unfortunately, is I'm a foodie, and so I just love like different types of food from all over the world, and and things like that. But it's part of celebrating all of our differences, and it's part of celebrating all of that. And so that's a huge part of me is just believing in people, because not only do I celebrate our differences, but there's actually very few differences. We are a lot more in common, uh, intermixed between all of our cultures, right? We care about our families. We want to raise good children. We care about the next generation. We want to protect what we have and what we build, and we care about our legacy and things of that nature. That is synonymous across like any culture. It just may play out slightly different, but it's all the same. And so that's who I am. I'm a guy that just I love humanity. I believe in humanity. I believe in the best and that we can be the best version of ourselves. But we need to do that together. We can't do that alone. That's the one thing that I absolutely learned throughout moving around. And then also I was in the military myself. 9/11 kind of woke me up. I was I thought I lived a military life through my dad, and so I just went to regular college. My dad went to West Point and played football there, so go Army, beat Navy. But I went to college thinking I'll just do something else, and um, 9/11 woke me up, and it was like, no, you were born with this patriotic bone, so it's like time for me to suit up, and I did, and but getting to see and being a part of the military as well, and going even more so around the country and around the world. I went back to Germany, lived there for a little bit, two tours to Iraq as well, and I saw humanity even more so, and it's still just ingrained that in me that we can be better, we can do better, but we can't do it alone. Whenever we are alone, that's when spiritual warfare comes in. That's when our own mindsets, our own doubts, our own whatever, all that kind of comes in and kind of hurts us. But when we come together as a pride, as a pack, right, um, then we get to grow and be better. And so that's what I've seen, and that's what my passion is to see us grow as people, and especially men. Men are I think the if you will, literally a backbone of society in any culture. because we're called, and this is in most cultures, we're called to be protectors. We're called to be providers. We're called to be the one that, it says, uphold the honor of our home. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? Our wives are the honor. So we need to uphold our wives. We need to raise our children to see that and to also do the same thing in the next generation and also lead our communities. It's not just for the inside the four walls of our home, but it's for leading our communities, leading our churches, leading our organizations, So the leadership inside the home should permeate into outside the home as well. And when those things happen, our homes get better, our communities get better, and then our cities and our states and our nations and everything else gets better. And so that I don't know, that's my passion. So that's who I am. Do I have a military background? Absolutely. I've done a little bit of business, and then now I'm in ministry. God got a hold of me. Um, After the military. My military life was not a Christ following one at all. I learned a lot of life lessons, maybe the thick-headed hard way. And but I had this my quick testimony was I got married to my wife uh, close to the end of my military career, and my mom at the wedding kind of came up and she goes, is she a Christ follower? Does she follow the Lord?" And I was like, "Oh, mom, don't worry about all that." But my mom was a faithful Christ and follower, Um, and I was like, "Don't worry about it." But that kind of sparked something in my mind that I was like, I believed in Jesus, but I never was smart enough or mature enough to do like the following of him, like he's my Lord, that lordship part of it.
Right.
That was always a hard part for me. It's like I believed in him taking on my sin. I mean, who doesn't want somebody to take away, all of the wrongs that we've ever done, right? Um, but the whole like I give my life to you and follow you, that was really I never could grasp that. So that's why I say I never followed him, until this moment when after a couple years of being married to my wife, during those years I just had this silent prayer. I never told my wife about it either or anything. When I go to bed in my own head or while I'm driving or something like that, just like, Lord, would you come to know my wife? Would you come to or have her come to know you or like whatever however that works, Lord, just would she come to know you? Um because I knew that that was important somehow. And then we had our first son, and then I said I want to raise our kid in church because somebody else other than just me to be a an example of morality for my kid. That was ultimately the goal.
Yeah.
Um, again, I still understood that we can't do life alone, right? Even back then. And then so we got invited to this church. Uh, was absolutely just I don't even remember what was spoken about, but it was just um, it was a powerful moment. And at the end of the service, w- they said, "Bow your head and close your eyes, and then raise your hand if you want and receive Jesus." Um, and I bowed my head, but I didn't close my eyes, and I looked over and I peeked over at my wife, and I saw her hand go up, and saying that she was willing to receive him. And to me, I was like, I'm a guy that's not following you. I'm a guy that's living for myself. I know I have sinful tendencies and all this kind of stuff in my life, but yet you still listen to my prayer and you answered it in front of my face. I was blown away. I was I just broke down. I just broke down right there, just seeing that moment. Um, because I just knew and I could feel one, the tug of God, and then also that this was an honest moment. This was a real moment. Um, And so I said, I can't believe you did this for me. You can have it all at that moment. And then that's what started the whole ministry part. Went to Liberty, got my master's in theology as well. Um, and I just felt like this is what I want to really be kind of focusing and pushing myself towards.
Yeah. Brother, I love that story. That's an absolutely amazing story. And it's huge that we all have answered prayers, but we don't
Hmm.
always get to see them answered like right before our eyes. like that.
Right. Right.
That had to be seriously powerful.
Yeah. No, ooh, good thing I've got the coffee. I can get every time I tell it, I still get a little choked up
Yeah,
about
I
it.
don't blame you. I don't blame you. Um, wow. I wanted to ask you too. You said that you didn't tell your wife beforehand, of course.
Hmm.
So this was all just totally legit, the way it came out. She didn't know that you were really wanting this that way, that you were.
Yeah.
I mean, she's heard you tell the story a million times now, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what's been her reaction to find out that you were praying for her the whole time?
Now she understands the appreciation of it. I
Yeah.
think before, like if I told her before, she'd be like, "Pff, well, that's nice, whatever."
Right.
But now being a Christ follower, she understands the brevity of that. Um, and, and that's where um, prayer's a big thing in the home, you know. Now we're not. I think some Christians put it out as like we pray all the time. Like my wife's just like, making pasta, and she's like, "Oh Jesus, I hope the sauce comes out right." Like that's not how our life is. But we pray before our meals, and
Mm.
our little
Yeah.
daughter likes to pray. Like, oh my gosh, this was hilarious. So quick story: we
Yeah.
just visited my parents down in Florida, and we were down there, and we had a big family meal, and we sat down, and my little daughter, that's 5, she goes, "I want to pray," and we are like, "Okay, yeah, you can say the prayer for it," and we all like hold hands and stuff, and she prays, and she's like, "Jesus, and I hope you have a great rest of your summer," you know. Like, and she's like, "You just thank you for making this food so good," and blah blah blah, and it's just like this most innocent little 5-year-old prayer, and she's like, "I just hope you have a wonderful rest of your summer, Jesus."
That's
And
awesome.
I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But I think it reminds us that we can be that candid with our Lord, and that He wants us to come with a childlike faith to Him. Um, and just come to him, just talk to him about whatever's on your mind.
Yeah.
um that's ultimately what he wants. He wants us to come to him. This faith is not a closed fist faith, it's an open arms faith. All
Yeah.
the things that God does in our life is not to scare us, but to drive us to come back and into his open arms. That is what this whole faith is all about. um Too many people painted a different picture, but it's a false picture. The picture should always be just like the prodigal son, where the son goes off and does all this stuff with his inheritance before his father even passes, and uh, he finally realizes he needs to come home, because he ruined it all, and he just needs to. He goes, "I'm going to come home to my dad, but I'm going to serve my dad, so at least I can have an income." And he comes home, and his dad just runs to him with open arms, and puts a ring on him and a robe around him, and has a party, and just says, "My son is home."
Yeah.
Um, he doesn't come home as a servant; he comes home as his son, and that's ultimately what this faith is all about: is to come home to our Father, and He has His arms wide open.
I love that, man. I really do. And I know that you're one that believes very strongly in our own independent relationship with Jesus, one on
Yeah,
one. And to have your 5-year-old be that comfortable
yeah.
and to already have that strong of a relationship in a one on one with Jesus like that, that has to be fulfilling. I mean, I'm guessing for you and your wife.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely fulfilling, and of course it comes with like the cute little laugh moments like that, which I think is, we live for all of like the little positive moments that our kids are doing. Trust me, my little 2-year-old was on a terror yesterday, but when he crashes out and he's just sitting there sleeping innocently, it's like, oh, we love this kid no matter how crazy he is, and he's throwing toys down the stairs and all sorts of wildness,
Right.
you know. Um,
Excellent.
the Bible says that our kids are a blessing, and I know, and I'm a parent. Trust me. Some days it's like, I don't think that's true, but it is. But it is. When we step back and we're
Right.
not in the heat of the moment of craziness, they are. They're a true blessing, and they humble us, and
For
they
sure.
teach us.
How old are your kids again?
So I've got a 2-year-old that is absolute. He's the cutest diploma holding terrorist I've ever had. But he's a little wild man is kind of what we say. But um, so a 2-year-old son, a 5-year-old daughter, and an 8-year-old son.
I mean, kudos on spreading them out by 3 years, but you've got a full
Hmm.
house, man. I mean,
Yeah, we
three
do.
under
Yeah.
10. Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. I remember those days. Holy cow. Well, I'm an empty nester now, man, so I just remember those days fondly. And the only thing I can tell any of you guys with younger kids is enjoy every terrorist-laden minute because, man, when they all fly the coop and you're an empty nester and you and your wife are sitting there, it's like, "Hi, nice to meet you. Now what? Now what do we do?" So
Yeah,
enjoy it, brother. Yeah, it is a blessing. Very cool. Very cool.
awesome.
Yeah, the you brought up earlier. I could probably sit here and just talk to you dad to dad for like an hour. So,
Oh
but I
yeah,
got to
yeah.
cover a couple other things. So,
Hmm.
one of the things we talk about a lot here is spiritual warfare and how it impacts, folks, the forms it takes. You mentioned it earlier, just in this episode already. How has spiritual warfare impacted you, tried to hinder you and your family, that type of thing? And what forms did it take? And, how'd that go?
Man, spiritual warfare, I think like in general, that term is such a broad term because there's so many different ways that it can come about. Um, and then it's also an area that is still somewhat misunderstood by the faith because I think it can be used as like this everything going bad in my life is spiritual warfare. And I'm kind of like this centralist approach. Like, no, it's not. You just you ate too many gummy bears and now you're fat. Okay, like it's not spiritual warfare that you're fat. Okay,
Right.
it's not spiritual warfare that you have diabetes because you ate every sugary thing on the planet. Okay, I'm talking about my own problems. Like I have a sweet tooth. So, and so I have to work out and all that kind of good stuff and really kind of watch it. So it's not spiritual warfare, it's your own bad decisions on a lot of things. And so there's a part where that's why I say it's so broad because so many people want to make everything spiritual warfare and it's not, okay? And a lot of compounding small bad decisions lead you into whatever it is. And I use health because that's an easy one for us to understand that, you lived a bad eating lifestyle for a long time and now you have health problems due to it, kind of thing. But that works in so many other things in our life. We can continue to do bad little small decisions elsewhere in other areas of our life, and it's just compounded into whatever you fall yourself into, right? That's how addictions are built. They're not built because you just are born very few are born with an addiction. There are some unfortunate circumstances, like kids that are born because of mom's addiction kind of thing. And I've
Right.
seen that and that's terrible, right? Um, but it's the for the most part, if you didn't have that, it was because of bad decisions that started it. Um, and those are areas of our life that it's like, hey, we need to take accountability. And that's part of like the whole idea of, like, let's be a bunch of lions that are waking up. Let's wake up to not only the bad things that are going on around us, but even internally that we need to war against. Like my tendency to want to eat sweets. Okay, great. Yes, they made Oreos so good, but I have to say no. Okay. I have to say no sometimes, or I have to just
Right.
eat one and then call it a day, right? Kind of thing. But the same thing can be done for any of our other addictions. Like say no. We need to like have accountability. And the other part of it is that we need other people around us. We can't anything when it comes to 12 steps or any kind of addiction or areas of our lives like that. Nobody's done that by themselves. Nobody's kicked an addiction by themselves. They go to meetings. They see accountability by other people. They have encouragement. They see inspiration from other people that have done these things, right? And, I'm kind of going to certain extremes here when it comes to addictions, but it's even the small things, right? I talked to you earlier. I'm redoing my office room. So I'm finishing and I'm having to learn how to like frame walls and do and some stuff like that. But I'm learning from other people that have gone before me. I'm talking to friends that have, done construction or are even contractors and things like that. So I'm not doing it alone. I'm learning from others and I'm growing in that way. And so before we go and point to a whole bunch of demons behind every bush, let's look internally and say, what are my bad decisions that led me to this point? And and that's I would say at least a half of what we deal with as far as issues. Oh my gosh, my electric is getting cut off. It's because you haven't paid it in 3 months.
Mhm.
You know, like it's not spiritual warfare. It's called business. Okay. And, kind of thing. And so there's a level of like, hey, I empathize. Trust me, I empathize a lot. Life has its reasons of why we make certain decisions, and I have a lot of empathy for that. But I think in the mix of it, I also have the military side that's like, suck it up, Buttercup. You made bad decisions. But we can fix it though. Like very few decisions are permanent. There's a lot of things that we can turn ourselves around. And then whatever you have done, whatever bad decisions or even things that you didn't even recognize were bad decisions, and then they blossomed into the whatever the problem it is that you're facing, um, we can still fight through that, right? The Bible says that everything that was meant for evil, God can turn for good for his glory and for the good of those who love him, right? And so no matter what your problem is, no matter what it is that you're facing, no matter whatever is troubling you, whatever situation you found yourself in, right? It's not woe is me. It's let's pick it up. Let's get our friends, let's get our lions together and let's fight through life together, right? What can we do to start fixing ourselves, right? I use health as kind of the best analogy because it's a little bit easier to grasp, like I said. So if you're having health issues, we got to put the bag of Oreos down. We
Yeah.
got to put whatever it is that we need to put down and start eating healthier. We need to start working out. And maybe that's just going on a walk. Oh my gosh, the amount of studies that right now they're just saying like a good, healthy, maybe like hour-long walk is phenomenal for you, more than you think it is. All of these kinds of things. Let's start moving ourselves towards the right path to reverse some things that, whatever in our past. And those will be testimonies for you, right? I don't come here and have lived this perfect little Christian life that I grew up in the church or any of that kind of mess. Like, no, I didn't. Um, we had periods of time where we were just Christmas and Easter. That was it, and we didn't go to church every time. So, I've seen and been through a lot in life, and so I understand the difficultness that life brings that leads us into some of the decisions that we've made. You know, um, so there's a lot of empathy for that, but there's also this level of we can't just sit here and be those victims. And I don't ever want spiritual warfare to become this idea that it's just a victim mentality. Like I'm just a victim. Oh my gosh, I'm getting oppressed. And it's like, no, we can stand up. God has given us the authority. God has given us the wisdom. It's in His Word that we can call on Him instead of just feeling woe is me because the doctor demon or the health whatever it is that's coming after us. Now, is it just our personal, bad decisions always? No. I do believe in a actual devil and that he fell from heaven and that he took a third of the angels, which are now his legion of demons and all of that. That is real. That is very much a part of our lives and is there. Because honestly, I had this question to myself. I go, why in our brain do we want to destroy ourselves? Like, think about it. Why does my own brain want to think negative thoughts about myself? Why do I say I'm not good enough? Why do I say I'm not smart enough? Why do I say I'm not pretty enough? I'm working on it. I'm trying to get the beard
Yeah, I
right,
think you're pretty, man.
you know. But it's kind of one of those like, why does my brain want to destroy the rest of me? Why do I have this
Yeah,
self-sabotaging thing inside my head that wants to destroy even itself? And there's a part of me that goes, that's not the right design. And I don't believe God would design it that way. And so that's part of where I do believe that there are demons that will use your past mistakes and then sprinkle wonderful, terrible little self-eating thoughts of deprecation, to you, and then we believe them, and then we hold on to them because we let those voices be louder than the positive and motivating voices. Right. And so it's our brain latches on to whatever we see and hear more of because it's, right. And also more traumatic things. So that's why a car accident is going to be something that sticks in your mind because of the trauma of whatever it was. That's why veterans deal with PTSD, right? And it was traumatic situations, very adrenaline pumping, more than like our normal state. Like you don't remember every time you sat on the couch, but you remember when you fell off. Right? You remember when that car accident happened. You remember that firefight you were in if you're a veteran and all of that. You remember all of those things, but you don't remember sitting on the couch and just having a good old time. Those you want those, but I don't go back and think of all the times I was sitting on the couch.
right,
Those don't stick in our head.
right,
Um, so that's the problem. And we need to have that's why we need each other around each other to speak life into each other to tell you, okay, got it, but we can do better. You're not a failure. You made a mistake. You messed that up or whatever, but that doesn't mean we can't move forward and overcome it still.
right,
And that's what we need to keep telling each other to raise each other up. I go on bad days, and that's where I am open with a good friend and go, dude, today is just not the day. And he's just like, dude, that happens, but don't let that hold you back. Right. I try to remember this saying, let's do something today that tomorrow will thank us for. Do something today that tomorrow will thank you for. So whatever it is today, maybe that is just going on a walk for an hour. Okay, you're not going to get this like burning sweat and feel like you're going to have ripped abs tomorrow, but it's the step that will get you going, right? And then do another walk tomorrow, and then do another walk tomorrow, and then go, and then after 2 weeks, go further or go longer, or, in time or whatever the case may be. But just start, go forward, don't live in the past, live for now for the future, and that's the whole point of why I like to be a coach. Coaching is recognizing we're here now. How do we move forward? How do we go
right,
forward in life?
right. I mean, I feel like honestly, I've almost been through a session of Valor and Vision coaching
Yeah,
here
a
with you. I
little
love
bit.
it, man. You are today many times you've mentioned, community group support.
Hmm.
Can't do it alone. Let me talk about your coaching for just a minute because,
Sure.
it's faith-based coaching, and this is what
Hmm.
you've been, feel like you've been called to do here, right? Tell everybody about, well, I just mentioned the name. It's called Valor and Vision Coaching, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Give everybody a quick, what that is, where that came from, what you do.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people hear the word coach now and then life coach and all that kind of stuff. So ultimately, coaching is recognizing you're here and we want to move forward. We want to accomplish goals. We want to live for a vision. We have something in mind that we want to go forward and do. And so that's the whole point of coaching. Counseling, therapy, all of that has its place as well. That is to help us get past any traumas, anything in our past, mommy, daddy wounds, PTSD, any of that kind of stuff to get us to a healthy place so we can move forward in a more healthy manner. Right. And so, a good friend of mine, he's a veteran as well. He was a Marine dog handler. And then now he's a family life and marriage counselor. And he's just like, they're not against each other. They should be working hand in hand. Having a good counselor helps you get past all of the things that are holding you back, and a good coach helps you realize that yes, you can move forward, yes, you can be better, and all of that. And him and I sat down, and that's where he gave me a lot of motivation is in understanding what this is, and just saying that like he goes, dude, you're great at you need to do this. And you're right, this needs to be something for you. And so that's really where that kind of spurred me on into understanding, and then went and got some Christian counseling or Christian coaching certifications and stuff. They also do some counseling kind of thing as well, and just continuously to learn. But Valor and Vision coaching came from the idea that we can't do this alone. And sometimes you need somebody that's not your best friend, not the guy that you go have coffee or breakfast with, just somebody that I don't live your life, but I'm here to also tell you, suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go. Right? Like pick it up. You can do this today. Like don't give me the mamsy pamsy, like, oh, I didn't go to the gym today. Like, no, go. Let's go. Right. And I use health as like I'm not a six pack ab kind of guy. I want to be, but um, so and I'm not the health guy, but it's how do I take whatever goal I want to do and break it down into measurable steps to go after and accomplish this goal. And it's all about breaking it down because I think a lot of us have visions and mission and goals in our life that we want to go after. But sometimes when we look at the totality of that goal, or that maybe it's even what we would call in our Christian walk our calling, it seems daunting. It seems bigger than what we can accomplish. No, that's for the Tim Tebows and the amazing, huge, big Christian names out there for them to do. That's not for me to do. And it's like, no, why not? Why not?
Right.
Why can't you start now and know you're not going to be Tim Tebow tomorrow? As far as the Christian speakers or anything crazy like that, you're not going to be that guy tomorrow. But how do you start building something today? How do you do something today that tomorrow is going to thank you for?
Right.
How do we take this massive elephant, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a
One bite
time,
at a
one bite at a time,
time.
right? And so it's like, let's measure it out. Okay. So then if the elephant is the goal, the milestone would be let's just finish one of his legs, right? The milestone is like let's just eat a leg.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you need to have a party and it's not just you and like barbecue that thing up. Uh, I like to barbecue, so it might be a lot of smoking references.
That's all right.
But it's take a portion of it, a good portion, and that's a milestone, right? And then even from there, what do we do each week to go after the milestone? And so in my men's community, Men of Valor, we meet once a week on Zoom. At the beginning, you get it's a worksheet that helps you break down your goal. The Bible says we need to count the cost, right? And so counting the cost is a big deal when it comes to goals. Um, at least a man that wants to build a house, but then stops halfway through because he realized he can't finish it, right? That doesn't look good, right? Uh, then those just become ugly halfway done houses in the neighborhood. Nobody wants that.
Right.
Um, so it's okay. What's it going to cost you? And a lot of times we go automatically to money, but no, it's going to cost you time. What is it that maybe you don't have the skill for certain parts of it that you need to go after and get? Doesn't mean just because you don't have it, you can't get that skill. We have YouTube University. You can learn anything for free.
This is true.
Right. And so there's so much that it's like, let's take the step back. Okay. If you want to build a business, but you have no idea where to start, trust me, there's YouTube videos for that. All right. On where to start. And there's almost more information than what you need. And it's just this week, I'm going to learn about, starting an LLC, right? Or whatever it is. Um, Next week it's going to be I'm going to start on writing a business plan. The week after it's going to be scaling down on the niche or whatever it is that I want to specifically go after. Whatever those, and it's each week. Okay, we just do those things. Don't worry about all of it all at once. break it down. And so that's kind of what we do at Men of Valor. We go through each week and kind of talk about what's your goal. You kind of go through the goal setting worksheet and all of that, and then what do we need to do this week, right? Um, and then we meet up. Hey, how did this week go? And I get it. Like, trust me, I have 3 kids. I've got ministry as well. I'm part time at my church. I've actually got a promotion, so I'm going to be doing communications and operations director as well there. So that's going to increase. And I
Nice.
know life gets in the way. And so there's no shame in like, hey, having a week and go, you know what? I just did not get to my weekly goal, my weekly step that I need to do. And it's like, okay, that just rolls into the next week. All right. Don't kick yourself over it. Let's not keep rolling it, but don't kick yourself too so bad that you just quit. And that's the problem. We do too many things where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna quit. Like that's why New Year's resolutions don't make it past January.
Right.
Because one, we made it way too big. We went from zero working out to working out 7 days a week for 3 hours, right? To get that 6 pack abs by March, right? And then by January 15th, you're like, I can't do this. And you run, and it's like you made it way too strong, way too fast, and unrealistic.
Right.
And let's break it down. What's week one? Just go get the Planet Fitness membership, right? Or maybe you already have one that you've been paying on for 3 years and never used. I have a friend that literally is that way. He's like,
Yeah.
I pay for Planet Fitness. He never goes, and it shows, right? He never goes, and he goes, and we always say, why don't you cancel it? And he goes, for the day that I will.
Right. Because one day I'm going
I'm
back.
like, I'm
Right.
like, make that today. Make that day today. Like, let's go,
Yeah.
kind of deal. So
I love that,
it's all
man.
of all those things. I mean, but and then the other part of it is, I was a veteran. So coming out of the military, I did go through an identity crisis as well. Like, who am I? I'm not wearing this uniform anymore that had all of the stuff. And now it just hangs in my closet. And it's like, oh, who am I? And that's why I said before, too many of us guys go after, well, I am because of what I do,
Right.
and that's not true. You need to not live. That means you're living for an identity, and we need to live from an identity. And who you are is the combination not only of what the Bible says that you are made in His image, and you know, and then when you're a Christ follower, you're grafted into the family and all of that. That's for everybody. That's for you, Roy, and that's for me, and all of that. But then who am I individually? And that's the wonderful, beautiful concoction of characteristics, traits, skills, um, all of those things that make us you, me, all of our differences. And that's why I say celebrate our differences, right? I can't cook a lick inside the kitchen. Put me on a grill, we're good to go. We're going to party, right? But thank God my wife can cook inside the kitchen, or we'd be all in the hurt box and every other fast food chain would be making rich off of us, right? Kind of deal. But celebrate our differences. I'm not good at something, she's great at something. We complement each other and come together, all of that kind of thing. And so realizing who our identity is and doing that self work helps us understand who we are so we can work from that instead of like, hey, if I'm not good at math and I'm not good at all of these other things, then probably working for NASA or SpaceX is not going to be it for you. So don't have a dream that like does not line up with your capabilities, skills, talents, attributes, characteristics, all of those,
Yeah.
right? And because when we do something we know we're good at, when we know we're made for, it's so fulfilling. And so knowing your identity, and I have an identity worksheet. I call it my foundations program. We can work through who you are in Christ. Your everything comes from there, and then you go into what is your vision for your life, and break down the visions in different areas of your life, right? Including, if you have a vision for your marriage, go tell your wife, or it's just going to be unmet expectations, right? That needs to be a
Right.
shared vision. But then the other one is, I even go to the point of what's the vision for your hobbies. And I think a lot of people don't even think of that. I just do this hobby to get away from life or do whatever. And it's like, no, what's the vision? Is it just to have like a little space where you can kind of do your own thing and that's it? Then great. Let's, scale that out. And what is it? Every week you get an hour or two to do whatever. That's your hobby. Great, good. That's healthy. Maybe your hobby is I want to teach other people. I want to grow a community in the hobby of whatever I'm doing. I want to be an influencer in the hobby on Instagram or something. Then great. Then how do we do that? Right? What is the vision for all the areas of your life? What's the vision for your health? What's the vision for your career or business? What's the vision for you as a parent? Whether you are a single mom or dad, or if you are still married, then what's the vision for parenting together, right? Again, share that because you don't want her living one way and you living a different way. It doesn't really work.
Right, for
So
sure.
it just builds fights, right? If your vision is to build fights, good, that's winning right there. But I
You're
hope
there,
it's
man.
not. Yeah. So, all right. I know I unpacked a lot right there. I'm sorry.
It was wonderful. Honestly, it's so refreshing to hear a men's coach talking like a men's coach. So
Mm,
I appreciate you for that, and I value that a lot. I also it's also refreshing to hear a men's coach who understands that faith really should be a part of it,
absolutely.
in one way, shape, or form. I think that a lot of men's coaches are out there and they're ignoring the faith component completely. And I just think when you do that, you're leaving a big hole, in the
Hmm.
armor for these guys. And I think you're building them up with a big gap in their foundation, which is, when the wind blows really hard, man, if that foundation is not solid, you collapse.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah. Now I know that that's something that you do in your men's coaching. Do you feel like you're building, discipleship that way, which we've all kind of been called to do, or do you have a different view on discipleship?
No, I think I actually am. A lot of guys do when they first come in. One of the big things that is attracting is that they want to grow in their spiritual life, and that's what sometimes they'll say that that's my goal. I want to grow in my spiritual life, and I go, okay, that's great. However, if you read one Bible verse tomorrow, you grew in your spiritual life. So is that really technically the standard that we want to set? And that's where we get into like the goal setting again. It has to be measurable and has to be quantifiable. Like, what does that look like for you? Now, there can be a lot of, spiritual life is a little bit more fluid and things like that, but
Right.
we still need to put some kind of standard down to know that we're progressing somehow, right? And I think in every way, and definitely in men's minds, we want to be able to measure that and know that we're growing, right? As I'm working on the room in the back, that means, okay, I've got one wall up. If I get two more walls today done, I'm progressing. If I don't get those walls up, I'm not progressing, right? And so there's measurable standards other people can see. And so for you, it's reading a chapter a day. A lot of people, oh, I gotta spend an hour with Jesus every day. Well, no, you don't. It doesn't have like what is it? Maybe that is your measure. That's fine. If that's your measure, fine. Um, I've done an hour where I've only gotten two verses in, right? I didn't get very far. Because those two verses really impacted me, and I was like deep studying to like a word study or something like that for an hour. Or the reverse is I'm going to go through a whole chapter. And I've gone through a whole chapter also in 15 minutes, in 20 minutes, right? Instead of a full hour. And then I can go through a chapter and I could be there all day, kind of thing.
Right.
So what is a measurable good standard for you in your growing in your faith? And your faith is going to be part of all the other aspects in life, right? I bring up health, right? I'm not the guy that's if you want six pack abs and need to do all of the detailed stuff because you want to go compete, I'm not your coach. I will find you one though. I'll
Right.
happily help you find that kind of coach if you're trying to get that detailed in your health. However, health is a part of it. But then the other part is our brain. Are we continuously being students of life? Are we growing? Do we have humility to learn? To continue to want to grow in whatever it is. That's why I talk about, hey, if you want to go after this goal, maybe you need skills that you still don't have yet. And you need to go learn those skills. Like I'm sure we learned a lot of new skills to just do this podcast type stuff. Like, oh, I need this and to hear and a good microphone, and like I have to learn about audio and lighting and like all this kind of difference. Oh, I don't have that skill. Well, guess what? I took the time to learn it. I took the time to learn it and to make, Instagram videos and YouTube and all that kind of stuff for advertising and talking about all that kind of stuff. And you've done that for, growing your podcasts and things like that. And so, yes, there's going to be skills, but we have to have that mindset to always be students of life, be ready to learn and ambitious to learn. And so that's our mind part. But what fuels us in all those other areas is our spiritual life. And so if we don't have that foundation and that understanding that all of this is not just for while we're breathing and then we're done, that there's a bigger understanding and learning and divineness behind everything. Like we didn't just appear here on earth.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
just didn't just happen. We're here for a reason because there's a design behind the reason. And and I find that the best answer to it is found in the Bible. And so that's where all of that needs, all the things that you talked about. There's spiritual warfare, talking about in the armor of God, right? And that's why I want to go after men because guess what? When I read the Bible, it's not some pretty picture of a meadow and roses and little daisies and some pretty house by a stream and some like nice Bible verse. Like when I read the Bible, it's bloody, it's nasty, it's got full of guys making mistakes, it's got full of guys going to war,
Yeah.
it's full, Samson destroying people with a jawbone, David's going after all sorts of different armies, reuniting the land of Israel. Um, through getting rid of all of the enemies, being an absolute warrior, but also controlling himself as a warrior. I mean, he had the time, he could have just taken out Saul a couple of times, and, at least one I can remember. And he goes, "Nope, I'm not going to." And that shows the level of discipline and control that warriors are to have, and that this is for men. This book is for men. This collection of God's word is for men to grow and to be leaders and to be able to just harness all of that testosterone. You're not toxic if you have testosterone. Oh my gosh,
Right.
I want to shake people in society. Like, no, men are not toxic. Okay, we can do bad things just like everybody can, but we also can do amazing, wonderful, great things in life that build other people up, that build up our families, and that build up the next generation to do good.
Nice.
And we can't lose hope.
I love that, man. I really do. I love that that's how you run things. And you're always trying to, offer more to the men that you're leading
Hmm.
also. I mean, you're becoming a financial coach now, right? Did I get
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah. Money kind of comes up quite often in our finances.
Right.
Um, and that's where a lot of people, oh no, I'm so tempted. And yeah, there's a lot of temptations. And so financial coaching, and I'm working through the Ramsey organization on finishing that as far as getting certified through them. But I've gone through financial peace and I've used that in my own life to kind of square away my own finances. And I have a financial advisor. Now, an advisor is one that's going to take your money and invest it properly for you. Like they know the markets, they know whether it needs to be in a 401k or a mutual fund or whatever, all the other different stuff. I'm I'm still learning all of that myself, and that's why there's financial advisors, and I have a great one in Florida that works with us. Um, but a coach works with you on your everyday. Like, did you really need to go to Starbucks every day this week and spend $6, $7 on a coffee every day? You
Right.
think that was smart? Like, let's add that up. If you add that up, you could have bought two Chick-fil-A meals. I say Chick-fil-A is like the Ruth Chris of drive-through nowadays. They're just
Right.
so expensive. Like, oh, and I know some people get, that's the Lord's chicken. And I was like, Lord's chicken got a price tag. Like,
Yeah.
dang. So, But like in all honesty, like,
Yeah,
there's that it probably destroys us more financially, on our everyday little spending, and realizing, no, I'm going to hold back on Starbucks and I'm going to brew my own coffee at home. You know, no, I'm going to not go to Chick-fil-A. I'm going to cook chicken at my own house. You don't know how to cook? Again, YouTube University.
right.
There's plenty of cooking on there, right? Um, I need to eat healthy. Again, YouTube University, whatever the case may be. But like, how am I financially doing things better on the day to day? And that's what a coach is there to kind of walk you through, checks in with you weekly on, how were your financial goals? Did you save this much each week, or all these other kinds of like little practices that can, help you out. And really, it's if you go through financial peace, like at your church or anything like that, it's a great course. It sets you up with a foundation of understanding. But then who's walking with you when life is coming at you, when the temptations of getting the kids, 50 uh, of those munchkins at Dunkin' Donuts, when they're like, I want all the munchkins, and you get a big box of them or whatever. I mentioned that because my dad did that when we were down in Florida, just got the kids though, and they just munched on those like all day. It was like a whole like sandbox toy thing of munchkins, and
Right.
it was massive, and just they were munching on them all throughout the day. It's like, okay, he's in a financial situation that wasn't a problem. That was nothing
Right.
for him. But other people, like, you stretched it thin for that. Like, why? Was that really the smartest thing? Or maybe we just need to grow in being able to tell our kids no,
Yeah. Right.
right? And I'm like, I'm giving this serious eye, like, hey, sometimes you got to tell your kids no, and no means I love you. And we need to learn that. And I
Yeah.
think more people need to learn that as well. Like, sometimes no is the most loving thing than yes. Yes is building on the detriment of what could be happening, right?
Right. You're going
So,
to be a fun financial coach, man.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
You really are. Because, man, you can
I
tell a story.
I'm doing it also to help myself. I'll be honest, because
There you go.
I'm not perfect either. There are days that my kids and their little puppy dog eyes and everything, and they get me, and I go, "Fine, I'll get you the Lego," like
Right.
whatever it is. My son's amazing. He does like he's doing these Technic Legos right now, so I love it, building on his engineering prowess that he
It's
wants to
awesome.
do. But
Well,
I also have to say, I can't get you the $100 one. I can get you the $25 one. I know it's smaller,
right.
but we have to, like, where's the boundary,
Right.
right? And that's what we have to do. And you'll get to the point financially, if you're smart now, you'll get to the point where you can be amazing later.
Nice.
So
I tell you what, man, I love it. I love everything you brought today, and I can't wait to hear these stories about your coaching groups exploding and everything that you're doing. Your financial coaching, going just huge. And I honestly, I'm proud of you, man. I mean, because you're just doing all kinds of stuff that really needs to be done. And
thank you.
it's honestly, it's an honor to know you and to keep talking to you on podcasts and stuff. Because man, you know how to tell a story, and your heart is always in the right place, brother. It really is.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. As we kind of wrap up here, Nick, how can everybody reach out, talk to you about your groups, or just talk to you?
Yeah, the simplest thing is just going to my website. It is valorvisioncoaching.com. So no and in there on the website and address, but just valorvisioncoaching.com. And that's it. You can find all my socials on there. I'm on TikTok and Instagram primarily. I need to put more emphasis back on YouTube. But yeah, and you can get a hold of me through there. My email address, and then also, you know, one of the things I do also is a free strategy session. Like, sit down. Um, it used to be called like a fit thing, but I was like, people want value. And so we can sit down and we can at least do a basic strategy session on, like, what is it that you need to, work on, or what is it that you want to do, and kind of talk through that. So at least you walk away with some kind of value. And then if you want continued to where we check in and do all that, then let's go. Let's roll.
Excellent, man. I love it. I'll have all those links in the show notes too for everybody. So,
Awesome.
all right. Husband, father of three, Army veteran, ministry leader, certified Christian life coach, soon to be financial coach, and men's life coach. And congrats on the promotion as well to
Thank you.
communications and whatnot. Nick Furloni, Nick, thank you, man, for coming on, for sharing what you have. It means a lot, and I appreciate you.
Appreciate it, Roy. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, I am telling you, it is time. It's time to wake up the lions. And more than that, it's time for you to take your rightful place with your brothers and sisters and let them hear you roar. The world's ready. You're ready. You just have to believe it.